Hi, welcome to the National Critics' Choice Online News. I'm Robin Stienberg, welcome to our show again. And today I have Mr. Bernar Venet, who is right here with me, going to share with us about his passion of art here in Singapore and also throughout the world, and throughout our 156 countries around the world. Mr. Bernar, thank you for joining us here at the National Critics' Choice. And they are really, a few questions that our fans would love to know about, because you have expressed great passion over many years, and your art has actually transcended and transformed and even evolved the way you approach art. The question they would like to ask is, what is art to you? Or what is the perspective of the evolution of art? And are you a big fan of Madonna?
Of Madonna?
Yes.
Look, I would not be able to recognize a song from Madonna, to tell you the truth. When I was younger, of course, I was listening to all the singers of my time, but today I'm not too much about music. So, I will recognize her physically, because she lived in Soho, very close to where I was living in New York, but I don't know her songs enough. Anyway, how do I define art?
Yes.
Very difficult to say. It's not so easy. Art is, let's say, a discipline like science, in which artists come with new concepts using different medium like paint, material like sculpture, they do sculptures using steel or wood or stone. They use material, they use a language, a formal language, in order to create new concepts, new thoughts, new propositions. You see, it's an open thing. We know what art has been until now. We don't know what art will be in the future. Concepts are changing constantly, and artists think that I was talking about Courbet yesterday, who thought that art was finished, but everything had been painted. Well, it was a big mistake, and always artists think so, because they think, what can we do? How can we create and go on? Well, there is so much more to create that I cannot give a definition of what art will be.
And now, speaking about the definition, moving forward, you decide to evolve into objects, and linear lines and so forth. Well, what exactly your inspiration has, triggered you? Or what was the definition of these lines mean to you?
You see, we are not inspired by the environment, we are inspired by art history, for example. That's why we love so much to look at art and we go to museums. And what is happening is that we have a taste, we have a tendency to like certain things more than others. And starting from that idea, if you have a potential to become an artist, you are going to start working. And you make mistakes, and slowly you find your direction, you find your own language. My language is not line, actually. It's the line in my work, straight lines or curved or so on, that I explore the most. But I also work with volume, with points, with areas, I do all kinds of things. Let's say that the most recently, I have been exploring what can be done with lines. And the great thing about it is that you can make a volume with lines, you can do so many things. It's a very open subject to explore.
And Mr. Bernar, tell us a little bit more about how you decided to become an artist. So did your family object your idea of becoming an artist?
In my family, there were no artists. From my mother, there was a talent to draw, to paint, but to paint like everybody, not being creative. And in my family, everybody went to work in a factory. My father, my grandfather, my mother, my brothers, everybody was going to work in the factory that was in the village. And I was going to do the same thing. I was supposed to go and do the same thing, except that when I was 11, I discovered that I was more talented by my friends to make drawings, to make paintings. So that was the only way for me to be beyond what people were expecting from me. I was not very good in all disciplines at school, but in art I was always the best. So I thought, oh, that could be a way for me to exist in the world. And I started to paint very early on. So the idea of deciding to be an artist, I mean, I remember the day that I had no idea early on that there was art history, that artists could make a living. I had no idea about that. I thought to make a living, you have to go and work in a factory. But one day I saw a book by Renoir, and someone told me, but Renoir is a great artist. He's famous, he's all over the world, his paintings are worth a lot of money. There are many, many books about Renoir. He's in all the museums. So suddenly I thought, oh my God, how about me? How about if this could happen to me? And so I worked very hard, and I managed to survive.
Now, what made you decide to be here in Singapore and to showcase your work with Art Plural Gallery? What inspired you to have Art Plural Gallery to partner with you?
Well, at the beginning you are doing art, and of course if you think that you are doing something interesting, first of all, some people are interested in what you are doing. They want to exhibit your work because you have a dimension, you have the potential to exist on a more global way, and not just in the little village where you were born. So of course, for many, many years now, for 50 years almost, I have been exhibiting in museums all over the world. And of course you show in Europe because you are European, then you show in America because I lived in America. Very early on, in 1971, I started to exhibit in Japan, and then in Korea. And you are dreaming to present your works in more countries, China, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, you just want to, and people are actually asking you to exhibit, I'm not like writing letters to gallery and say, oh, I would like to show my work in your gallery. No, what's happening is that gallery dealers, they have a connection with other dealers who are showing my work, so they just ask, oh, do you think it would be possible to show the work of Bernar? And that's how I ended up being here. For me, it's fantastic because Singapore is a country where I already have several sculptures, in private collection and in public collection also. So people started to know me. So this exhibition here at Art Plural is a way to introduce a little bit more from what they know. You see, they know the big monumental sculptures, but they had no idea about my painting and about the wall reliefs. So this is a good opportunity for me.
And speaking about dimensions and opportunities, what would be your most memorable experience in your lifetime as an artist throughout your whole career? Were there any moments that actually has impact the way you define art?
The way I define art?
Yes, and in your creation as well.
You see, there are moments when you suddenly realize that you are into something which is totally original. For example, in 1966, when I did my first mathematical diagrams, I had this intuition that I was perhaps getting involved with something that might be very interesting. So you are, of course, driven by these ideas, and you are very enthusiastic about what you are doing. But at the same time, you doubt a lot. You don't know if you are really doing something which is going to be worth, because you are starting an experience. It's like someone who is going to discover an island where nobody ever went. It's exciting to discover this island, but perhaps this island is going to be a desert. There will be nothing on it. You don't know. So you are never very sure. The great moment that give you pleasure is when people recognize that what you have been doing is important. The first one was when Dr. Wember, a very important museum director in Germany, who was he's a legend, this man, He bought 2 pieces of mine while I was totally unknown. Nobody had given me an exhibition, a one-man show in a gallery. And suddenly this museum director, very famous museum in Krefeld, suddenly says, decides to buy my work and decides to give me a retrospective exhibition. And I'm only 29 years old. So that you feel like, oh my God, finally someone is looking at what I'm doing. These are very important moments, of course.
And how long did you wait for that moment?
Oh, look, I cannot complain too much. It has been very tough for me, you know, because I was coming from a poor family, very poor family, and I had to find a way to survive. And I'm going to tell you that I was not eating every day, but really, you know, it was very, very tough. For many years, like from 1966 to 1969, 1963 to 1969, it was extremely difficult. I was, thanks to some friends, I could eat sometime, I could sleep somewhere. It was very tough. But it was not difficult for me to live that experience because I knew where I wanted to go. I knew that I was meeting the right people, the right artists, that the very good artists were appreciating my work, the good galleries were appreciating my work. So you see, you suffer because you don't eat, but you are so enthusiastic because things are happening anyway. So finally, in 1970, things started to change, and when this Dr. Wember, that museum in Germany, offered me that show, suddenly everybody, you know, got excited and bought my work, so it became easier.
What is your advice for aspiring artists like yourself? You know, because there are artists who are emerging from Asia and trying to make a mark in their lives, just as you have experienced in your age 29. What is your secret of your success in becoming one of the world's renowned artists?
There is no rules, you know. The thing is that many people, many young men and women have a very serious potential to become artists. But the selection is extremely difficult. It's like, you know, in boxing, you know, if you're a boxer, you know, you have to be the three best, otherwise you don't make a living. Otherwise you are not an international, you know, sportman like this, a boxer. So it's the same in art. You have to be very, very lucky. You have to work like hell. You have to work like hell. You have to understand, also you have to understand the system. You could be a genius if you stay in your little village and you make great art, nobody is going to know about it. You have to understand that today, to function, to be international, you have to move also. You know, you are like, you are like a company who has an incredible potential. You have to go in all countries, but of course you do it. You do it only if you know that you have a potential to survive, to exist, to impose yourself. You know, when I was a kid, I sang very well, okay? But I didn't sing well enough to think that I will be a great singer like Madonna, you see? I just thought, okay, look, I can sing and make my friends happy, but I will never go very far. Where in art, I knew that I had the potential to go a little further. And really, it's a matter of working. You have to be connected with the right persons also. So you cannot be isolated, and you have to work like hell.
So, how important is being a creative person is to develop their craft? Now, because there's a lot of question in emerging markets right now, especially Asia, and especially governments, they're trying to get the people to be more creative and more artistic. Is becoming a creative person comes in the form of someone who is born with a talent, or is it something that has to be educated, or is it passion?
You need both. You don't need talent. You need to be potentially a genius to succeed, really. You know, you need a lot of talent, because so many people have talent, so many. So there is one thing, one rule is that you have to be extremely motivated. You know, you have to believe that you can do something. Then, if your country wants to help you, the country can do only one thing, is to send you to London, to New York, to places where there are the very best artists. Because like that, this young artist from Singapore, from Asia, is going to realize, to become very conscious of what it takes to succeed. You know, the competition is huge. You know, you have to understand so many things. It's like if you are a scientist, okay? You don't stay in your village. No, you go to MIT in Boston. You go where all the genius, here are, you know, all the most creative people in science are. So you are with them and you realize how much more you have to learn, how much more you have to know, and how much more you have to create, you know, you have to come up with incredible ideas. And it's by being with those people that you can only do that. If you are isolated with your friends in your village, in your little town, you are not going to do that. You are going to become perhaps the best in your town, but that's all. So you will never have a global dimension. You see what I mean?
I understand. And speaking about the global dimension, what would be your one wish right now that you want to achieve in your career? What would be your wish?
I have only one wish, only one. It's just to do better art than what I'm doing, really.
And what's next for you, Mr. Venet?
What's next? Well, there are some exhibitions which are coming up, and you saw on the second floor here some of the new paintings that I'm doing. The paintings, I think, people know very well my sculpture, but they don't know as well my paintings because they have not been exhibited as much. And next year, in June, I will have a painting exhibition in Venice at the Biennale of Venice, and I just hope that they will, but the painting will have the impact that my sculptures had until now. I believe very much in the paintings. I think they are very new, very original, and there is content which is different from anything which has been done in painting up to now. So I believe very much in it, and it's really my next goal. It's to really develop it.
Now, from this experience, what do you hope to have your fans, your audiences, your art enthusiasts learn from of all your works that you have done so far? What is it that you wish to impart?
I wish they would understand the logic of my way of thinking. You know, I think they would understand the relationship that there is between all the forms of art that I've been exploring. They think, oh my God, what's going on? Bernar Venet is making sculptures, but he's also making paintings. They don't look like the sculptures. Then he's making drawings. They don't look like that, and he's making performances, and he's doing poetry. You know, what's going on? You know, he's just touching everything. Well, I would like people, but I would like not everybody, just like the right people, the people who are very much interested by art to a very serious level, to understand the logic of all that. It's, you see, I'm not doing art to sell it. I'm not doing art to become famous. I'm doing art to create a new culture, to show that art evolves and can go beyond what was thought before. And I would like people to, instead of buying my work, to understand the concept of my work.
And what is art to you in the following trends that is to come?
Oh my God, if I knew what art will be in the future, you know what I will do? I would leave you right now and I will go and do it.
So, what will be your next evolution of your art?
Look, again, you see, I don't know if I knew I would leave you and I will go and do it, of course.
Do you have any ideas?
I think it's going to be, I think it's really going to be with the paintings that I'm going to do some interesting things, yes. But I could do that for 2 or 3 months, and suddenly, because my brain rested in relationship to my sculpture, so suddenly I'm going to have a new idea with sculptures. I go like this, you see, I switch from one discipline to the other. I could very well, tomorrow, decide to develop, because I feel like it, decide to develop the poetry aspect of my work.
One of my fans asked me, viewers actually, asked me, and they like to pose this question to you, and that is your creation of art coincide spirituality? Did you have any spiritual experience while you're creating some of your pieces?
I don't think so. I don't see. I remember at the time when I was doing very hard, you know, very difficult, objective, rational, conceptual art, someone said that I was the most spiritual of all the artists. But I don't believe that too much, but it's really a matter of point of view. People can give interpretation about me and about my work in ways that I cannot imagine today. But no, my work is very objective, very rational, materialist. It's really about what it is. There is nothing transcendental about it. So it's the contrary of Yves Klein. You know, Yves Klein was like about something else, you know, or Rothko, which is about the religious, the sacred, you know. my work has nothing to do with that. It's really about itself. Yeah.
Is there any one country in the world that you wish to visit and also to place where your art is today?
I like the idea of introducing more my work in Asia, really, because we have two different cultures, and cultures can melt to enrich themselves. You see, if I am using, for example, mathematics in art, it's only to make art richer. And I think that if we put our two cultures together, we can get richer. You have qualities, we have qualities, and if we just put those things together, it's going to be better. So communicating better with Asia, introducing my work to Asia, and I believe that it should not be too difficult, because there is something about my work which is very much like the graphism of Asiatic writing. And that's why, for example, up to now, in South Korea, people have been showing a lot of interest. But of course, the work has been shown in South Korea more than in China or in Singapore so far. So I believe that the sensibility of Asiatic people can be very close to mine. Yeah.
So you're going to pursue, perhaps in the future, Asian calligraphy with your art?
Yes, there is a look. The cover of the catalog is very much like Asian calligraphy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bernar Venet, for your presence and and also sharing your passion in art with the National Critics' Choice. And we hope to see you more often here in Asia. And thank you for joining us here at the National Critics' Choice. I'm Robin Steinberg. Have a good weekend.